Welcome to this week's Behind the Poem. Today I'm going to do things a little bit differently. A little bit differently. Instead of sharing one poem, I'm going to share my set list from last night, from my performance last night at the Triad Theater. Thank you, everybody who came through. There are some stunning photos by the one and only Savannah Lauren that are on other posts you can check out. And I want to share a bit about my set list practice. So many years ago, pretty early on in my career, I decided to commit to a practice of never repeating a set list in a feature performance or a solo show, whether I was in New York City or somewhere else in the country or world. Really an homage to two of my favorite bands of all time, Phish and the Grateful Dead, both bands who never repeat a single set list in their thousands and thousands of collective shows throughout their multi-decade long careers. These bands have never repeated a set list or show, and that's part of the joy in going to see them. For those of us who are maniacal fans that have gone into the tens and some of us hundreds of times to see these bands, because we don't know what's going to happen. Each show is unique. And for me as an artist, that really speaks to me. I know there are other artists and musicians and performers that like the precision, which is a whole other kind of craft in and of itself. And for me, I love the improv. I love taking what's happening in the room and riffing with it and on it and through it together. So I keep a spreadsheet of all of my set lists, and the art of the set list is very important to me. And I get a little superstitious about the set list I create on whatever piece of paper it is. So like if you go back into the bowels of my social media photos, you might find set lists on napkins and hotel pads of paper and menus at random restaurants around the country and world. For last night's show, it started like this, and I didn't like it, and I flipped it and made it here. And then as I started rehearsing, I decided to cut out 2 poems, and then I decided to maybe move 1 poem, and then I changed my mind. And then another poem midway through prepping, I was like, oh yeah, sorry, I'm just trying to get it out of blurry here. I definitely knew it had to move down here. And I actually thought it was going to go, this poem for you, I thought was going to go after this poem, Ghost. I'm sorry, before, and in real time, I think I accidentally did it after Ghost, but I think that was the right choice. And then, midway through the show, I went rogue a lot of the show, but at one point, I was like, we need this poem I have called Life Worth. It just felt like the energy of the room needed that poem. And so after my show, I went and added it so that we have a record of it, but it went in here. And all of this is to say, like, for me, the art of a set list is knowing that we set up guardrails, we set up tracks, we set up a plan, and it's not always going to be the way it goes, but setting the intention of the plan helps create the container where the spontaneity can occur. And then, it is a little superstitious that, like, instead of writing a fresh set list, I like to see the evolution of it. I like to watch the chicken scratches and the scratching out and the adding in and the question marks and the squiggling of arrows. Like, for me, that becomes an art in and of itself, to honor the ways the set list evolved, which to me is analogous to the way we evolve and the way I hope a performance evolves and the way I hope my craft evolves. And so, yeah, and because for me, live art is about feeding off of the energy that's in the room, also the set list is contingent on what happens in the space, on who shows up, on the way people respond, on the way people engage. And I think that's also my favorite part, that, like, when I teach, it's very similar. I come in with a syllabus, I've got an agenda, but oftentimes we go rogue because, and I said that a lot last night, that I just kept going rogue, which I did, because we have to respond to what's actually happening, which I think is, for me, a ritual practice that strengthens my ability to do that in life. Instead of, I'm really working on learning how to react less, and respond more. And to me, a set list is a practice in responding rather than reacting. And responsive art making is my jam. So thank you again to everyone who was there last night. And I've got the footage in my inbox, so hopefully some of those videos might make their way to a news feed near you soon. That's all I got. Take care. Lots of love.